Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the not General Hospital recap.
It's General Hospital
related
10 still?
Yeah. So
it's We Don't Want to Rewatch Episodes We Just Watched a Couple Months Ago podcast.
And why are we going to bore you with the same exact conversation that we had just a couple weeks ago? If you want to listen to our opinions about this week's episodes, go back to May.
Yeah.
But so yeah, July 13th through 17th was just reruns of...
I don't know what date. Something in May.
So we decided that we're going to watch Night Shift instead.
Finally.
So we've never watched Night Shift.
Okay, we still need to figure out where to get the second season. I know there's some stuff on YouTube.
Right.
But I don't know that the whole season is on there.
I don't either. So if you know how to get the second season of Night Shift, and yes, we have Googled, YouTubed, Amazon,
check out
Hulu,
eBay,
Netflix, eBay, dark web. How do you get on the dark web?
I don't know. You should figure that out.
My aunt and I were just having this conversation yesterday. We're like, how do you even get there?
I don't know. That could be a tutorial. 411.
We need to talk to Spinelli. But yes, so we decided that we're going to watch Night Shift, which neither one of us watched when it came out.
I wonder why that is.
Well, I'll give you a little background from General Hospital fandom.
Good.
General Hospital Night Shift was an American primetime serial that ran from July 12th, 2007 to October 4th, 2007, and then aired a second season from July 22nd, 2008 to October 21st, 2008. Prior to its premiere, SoapNet had announced that Night Shift would delve deeper into the relationships, friendships, and medical cases seen at the hospital. It was noted that unlike General Hospital itself, the stories on Night Shift would wrap up during each weekly 1-hour episode. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. And I don't feel like they delved deeper into stuff.
We're only 4 in.
Okay.
They're still kind of opening up.
I will hold my judgment until the end. You're right.
As well as being understandable to viewers who do not watch General Hospital. That I can agree with.
Yes.
With the goal to attract younger viewers, characters would be plucked from General Hospital's history and be mostly comprised of younger characters with ties to GH's core families. Night Shift storylines, however, did not directly intersect with those on General Hospital. Kind of did in a couple places.
Yeah.
And I guess we can just go quickly down. So there's Dr. Andy Archer, Dr. Sarah Batra, Jagger, Jolene Crowell, and it does say Jagger Cates. I'm like, does it just say Jagger? No.
He only needs one name.
Dr. Patrick Drake, Toussaint Dubois, played by Billy D. Williams, who is Lando Calrissian from Star Wars.
Wow, she's very excited. Go ahead.
Nurse Epiphany Johnson, played by Sonia Eddy, Dr. Kyle Julian, played by Adam Grimes, Dr. Leo Julian, who was played by Dominic Raines in Season 1 and Ethan Raines in Season 2. Okay. Dr. Kelly Lee, played by Maina Noji. I'm so sorry. Nurse Layla Meyer, played by Nazanin Bonatti. Jason Morgan, played by Steve Burton. Robert Scorpio, played by Tristan Rogers. Dr. Robin Scorpio, played by Kimberly McCullough. Dr. Claire Simpson, played by Carrie Southworth. Damian Spinelli, played by Bradford Anderson, Nurse Regina Thompson, played by Angel Wainwright, and Dr. Lainey Winters, played by Kent King. So that's all the people that we had, I guess, that were the main people on Night Shift. So how are we going to talk? Oh, real quick, before we get into that, I just want to do a quick apology in our 411 on Carpool Guy.
Okay.
I said the late Christophe St. John.
Okay.
Which is correct. I did not say the late Jean Cooper because she did pass away in May 2013. And even though she was older in her 80s and, quote, should have been expected and blah, 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 she still passed away and she's a daytime legend. And so I should have said the late Jean Cooper. No one called me out on it. I called myself out on it and it bothered me. So there.
There you go.
I am that person that tells on their self.
No one's shocked by that if they've listened to us before.
All right. So how do we want to break this down?
So there's 3 discs in Season 1. We are doing Disc 1 this week, Disc 2 next Monday, and Disc 3 the following Monday.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
This week had 4 episodes in it.
Yes.
The thing I liked, each episode had a title.
It did.
I liked that. maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Like what, before we dive into the story,
Okay,
really.
well, it's way easier to come up with a title for 12 episodes, 15 episodes, whatever there is, than to come up every day with a title
Absolutely.
of GH. So if you're going to say you like that, I don't think they're changing that for
Well,
you.
I know that, but I mean, so they
Sorry.
definitely were shooting for the prime time.
They were shooting for the prime time, but I don't think that they achieved that. I liked the show. I'm not saying that I didn't. It was like they were trying too hard.
To validate.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And maybe they felt like that's what they needed to do, because I'm sure a lot of people talk not nice about it. I mean, we didn't even bother to watch it. So,
Well, so it was on SoapNet. And for a while, SoapNet was not necessarily available on our cable.
oh, that could
So
be.
could it be that we didn't have it? And in 2007, 2008, I wasn't watching stuff online.
No, I wasn't watching stuff online. I don't know. That
Okay.
could have definitely been a possibility.
Okay.
But it never interested me enough to find it.
Too,
Yeah.
But I think that might have been it, was, well, crap, I can't watch it anyway, so,
That could be. But I'd have
let's
to go
just
back
wait
and
for
see.
a pandemic and find it on DVD.
Right.
Hey!
It is easy to find the first season on DVD.
Apparently,
Also,
they did not put the second season on
I'm
DVD.
assuming not, because I feel like eBay would have had that by now. But
I agree.
so I didn't write down the names. Did you?
I did.
Of course you did.
Uh-huh.
That was a dumb question.
So the first episode, do you want me to just say them all?
Go ahead.
Okay. First episode is Frayed Anatomies. Episode 2, oh, that was one thing though. They took the gurney up against the wall where everyone goes and sits
Yes.
and has
yes.
snacks straight from Grey's.
Yes, they did.
Because I was like, wait, was this before or after Grey's? Did Grey's steal from them or yeah. Episode 2 is Skin Deep. Episode 3 is Paternity Ward. And episode 4 is Keep the Change.
So what's one called?
Episode 1 is Frayed Anatomies. Do you want me to read the little summary?
Oh, go ahead. I
Okay.
didn't know that we had pulled all that up.
An explosion leaves Patrick wounded. Maxie and Coop are caught in a compromising situation. Jason and Spinelli avoid police questions. And Toussaint offers wisdom.
Okay.
So Toussaint is Billy D. Williams, and he's a custodian.
I loved him.
Me too.
I loved him.
It was very good. So the explosion was...
I still didn't understand. So they pull in, they hear someone's coming. A head trauma? Was that what it was supposed to be?
I think it was no, it was food poisoning.
They all ran out there for food poisoning. I thought they were expecting something
Maybe
else.
it was a head trauma. Didn't they say something about food poisoning, though?
They said food poisoning is why the woman, that we don't know who it is yet, the woman was being brought in.
Right.
From the Metro Court. But when they initially all ran out, I don't know, I feel like there was a lot of doctors
So she
and
was
nurses.
maybe she was not the...
Yes, I think they were expecting a patient,
And
and
then
the
this
ambulance
happened.
driver pulled in first.
Yes.
And they pulled in all crazy and acting all silly. And then it turned out that there was a can of laughing gas on the ambulance that blew up. And Jason had to pull this unknown woman off of the gurney, or the gurney out, so that he could rescue her from being burned alive, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, and then there was the guy standing off to the side who threw his cigarette, and that's why it blew up.
Yes.
I thought that was intentional.
No.
And then over the past couple, after
That was Cody. Yeah, Cody threw
the
his
following
cigarette.
episodes, you find it wasn't. It was just...
Yeah, that was total accident. He didn't realize. Whatever. And at the same time, the pregnant chick was coming in.
Mhm.
Her name's Stacy.
Look at you writing all those down. I didn't.
Stacy, the pregnant girl's coming in at the same time. Pregnant woman coming in at the same time. I don't know. I felt like they were waiting for a different trauma than food poisoning. Because that was a lot of doctors and nurses to run out to meet the ambulance
For
for
food
food
poisoning.
poisoning. I don't know how
Why
it works in real hospitals, but in Grey's, they send like one person out to collect food poisoning, but 20 people for head trauma.
Right. Well, so the episode starts too with Patrick walking up on Robin in the shower.
Yeah, that's a little steamier than what we get in daytime. Yeah. But they were dating, but they weren't engaged yet at this point.
Right.
So I felt like that was not a good light that Robin was shed in. She was way too jealous and snippy with him every time he looked at another woman. And I don't feel like on real GH that she had that same tone towards him.
But in all fairness, he was also really oogling.
Oh, he was. I'm not saying.
Patrick got passed out from the explosion, and so he had to go upstairs and get looked at and everything. And he calls one of the nurses lovely Layla, you know, and it's kind of like a known thing that, you know, people like Layla.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to make that comment.
Oh, he was totally inappropriate. And then he said, oh, that's the drugs talking. And she called him out and was like, I'm pretty sure they didn't give you anything yet. So absolutely, he was inappropriate. But coming from the General Hospital standpoint, Robin knew he was a player.
Mm-hmm.
Robin didn't like it, but she always was like, whatever, you're going to make the choice that you make. If you don't think that I'm good enough to be with, then don't be with me. I have nothing to prove here. I've already proven it by being the amazing doctor survivor that I've been and all of that. And in this, she was kind of like whiny, jealous girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was very unbecoming.
I agree. And I actually wrote down Robin's ongoing hypocrisy taking care of Patrick when she knows that the ER is like slamming busy.
Yes.
And she's like, and she even says later on, I forgot to write down why she said this, I have no integrity. She said that because it was something to do with Patrick.
Yeah, she was talking to, oh my gosh, all the names, but I didn't write it down.
I can't remember either. But it was, you're exactly right. It was very frustrating to watch because
Kelly. She was talking to Kelly.
Yeah.
Sorry. I knew I had a lot of names right now. Yeah, she was talking to Kelly whenever they go in to change, like at the end of their shift. And she said, I have no integrity because she just yelled at Layla when it wasn't Layla's fault.
Right. She was definitely not coming on to Patrick. Patrick was definitely...
Right. She put up way more of a wall with anyone that was being flirty and cute with her than she was being professional. So good job, Layla.
Yes. And then, do you want to talk about Stacy?
Stacy is a HIV positive patient who is pregnant, and she shows up in like every episode for some reason. My only issue with her was that when she came in, she said she needed to be seen because her knees were bruised from falling, which makes sense, but that she was there for her appointment. They don't do OB appointments during the night shift.
I was wondering the same thing. Like, Kelly is there a lot, although I would imagine that they do have an on-call.
On-call for emergencies, absolutely. If she was bleeding or contracting or something that she needed to be seen, I'm sure you go to the ER and you're seen. But you do not schedule an OB checkup during the night shift.
Right.
Unless there's doctors that work in other states that are completely different than anything I've ever experienced, which is obviously a possibility. But to my knowledge, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and they have every other Tuesday, they're there till 7 o'clock or something.
Right.
No, you're not going to the doctor at 10 o'clock at night. It was dark outside. You're not going to the doctor for a checkup when it's dark outside. No. And you're not using the ER entrance.
That's very true.
You only use the ER entrance for an ER visit. So.
Oh, and this is what I meant to look up. What was it that so Robin and Patrick were shunned to the night shift because they performed on a patient that did not have insurance.
Right.
Which surgery was that? I totally forgot to go back and look.
I did not look.
Shoot.
I remembered.
As he was talking about it,
yes.
I'm like, yes. And I meant to.
Yes, because I wrote that. That was my third note for the episode. I forgot how much I hated Miss Sneed. As soon as she came on screen, I was like, oh, I hate that woman. She's such a jerk. And the male doctor isn't much better, but he was not as much of a jerk as Miss Sneed is. Yes, thank you.
And speaking of yes, Maxie and Coop in the supply closet.
Oh my God, that was
way more graphic than we ever get on Daytime.
So cute, though. If I had a boyfriend that looked like Coop, I might be tempted.
But first of all, Maxie was volunteering in the hospital.
Yeah.
We don't really, we've talked about it a couple times with the Lucky getting addicted to drugs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, she was really in there.
Yes.
And because they were hooking up, they had to flush the bedpans as punishment. Oh, okay, wait. She called Mac Daddy.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Never.
Thank you. Maxie hooking up with Cop Coop and calls Mac Daddy with air quotes around it. And then I have 1,000 question marks after that. Absolutely. It's Uncle Mac 100%. She
all the time
totally acknowledges that he raised her in a dad-like fashion, but has never called him dad. And certainly would not call him daddy.
Not while
in that circumstance.
No.
That was gross.
It was very...
And she said it in that little kid voice too, like, oh, daddy. No.
Yeah, it was not
Thank
cool.
you. I'm so glad you got that too, because I was so angry with that one. And I didn't like how nasty Mac was with Jason about the ambulance explosion. He had nothing to do with it, and he pulled the woman out. Why are you being such a jerk?
Right. He definitely came in.
And Spinelli was there with a gunshot wound to his foot. If Spinelli would have been bleeding out, okay, sure, let's yell at Jason about what's going on. But you knew what happened in that situation. So I just don't get it. I guess I'm used to him being more respectful now to Jason.
Yeah.
Because even though he thinks...
He never liked him, though.
Right. Never liked him. But now that he's so far removed from Robin, and he sees that he doesn't just go after people to go after people,
Mm-hmm.
he does have a line of respect there. I'm not saying he likes him, but he has a line of...
And I feel like by the time it was 2007, he was past... And I do understand where he was going, because the last time that Robin had a boyfriend...
Right.
She became HIV positive,
Exactly.
and he's looking out for his niece. You know, he doesn't want her to get into another relationship. And at that time that she was diagnosed, it was a very scary situation.
Yes.
Not saying that it's not now, but you know what I mean. It was a very...
They've come a long way with medications to treat it now.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Jason also had just come out of his head trauma and was just finding out who he was and was just getting started in the mob. So,
No, he had justifiable reasons.
But now he's a dad and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing.
Robin, it's not that episode. It's the, I think it's the third one, as that you said was something paternity parenting. So we'll get there.
Okay.
So second one's what?
Skin deep.
Skin deep. Oh, okay. So they finally identified that the burnt person has the last name Barrett.
Yes.
They've never said that that's definitely Brenda or anything of that sort yet. And Jason conveniently didn't read her little sign on her.
Everyone's missing the sign on the room that says Barrett.
Oh, and they almost had an autopsy performed on her because they thought she was dead.
And that was freaky.
Was it Layla that found her?
No, it was...
Oh, what is the other girl's name? Regina.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're the one who just figured it out. Why are you saying thank you?
I don't know.
Me?
Thank you. That's who we're talking about.
So the quick summary is a patient insists on Patrick's inspection.
Oh, that was interesting.
Jason begins his probation.
Mm-hmm.
Maxie visits Miss Sneed. Mm-hmm. Epiphany becomes irate. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Ford believes General Hospital to be cursed. So Patrick had to inspect a woman's breasts because she did not want a woman to inspect them.
I don't have much to say about that.
I think that he did try to actually handle it well. He was like, I need to get somebody else in here.
Yes. He tried to handle it professionally. And I think that in the end, he gave her what she was looking for, the reassurance that she needed. And I understand, coming out of a divorce and feeling not sexy, not pretty, not good enough, all those things, especially after having kids, because we all know they wreak havoc on your body no matter how good you are about getting back into shape. I understand her wanting that approval, but I also, again, I can only go off of personal experience. If I had a boob job, I would not be showing up at the local hospital asking some doctor that I don't even know to be like, here, feel these, touch these. Are these good enough?
But
that's
she
weird.
she was having self-esteem issues, thinking that she wasn't attractive.
Right. I understand.
And so she wanted a professional opinion of maybe someone who I still don't think that the way that everything happened.
I just don't know how realistic that is. I mean, that'd be a poll to put up. Have you ever gone to the ER and asked a doctor that's not yours to check out your boobs? Because again, they were trying to create more conflict between him and Robin, right? And build up that storyline as a nighttime soap. But I don't feel like that was a realistic. I don't even think they'd pull that on General Hospital. So why are we trying to do it for nighttime?
True. And something we forgot to mention was that Miss Sneed wound up falling because she saw Maxie and Coop.
Yes.
So now she's in the hospital, and Maxie went to visit her to bring her flowers and to apologize.
And Miss Sneed wanted nothing to do with her apology, but had an interesting question
She wanted to know if it was better.
Restrained.
Then it turns out that Maxie gets MRSA.
Yes.
A staph infection on her bum because...
Not good, because we know Maxie has issues and any type of infection is bad, but kind of funny and ironic that would happen.
Well, but then exactly, they start bringing up her heart, which we just talked about that they don't really talk too much about.
Right. I felt like they did earlier on. Yeah.
And Jason, his probation was that he was a janitor.
Yes. But I feel like that was the perfect probation for him.
At the hospital.
Yeah.
And Epiphany laughing in his face. That was so hysterical. Cute. And, he had so much personality on night shift.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice.
It was nice.
Because he handed over this little note to her. She starts laughing and he gives her the look like, seriously, stop it.
Exactly.
Yes. That we don't see now. And the PTSD patient, Cody, we forgot to talk about him on the first one.
He's kind of scary.
He is, but he's definitely really struggling. So there's a vet that he was the one who threw down the cigarette that then caught the ambulance on fire.
And he felt awful about that. That was not intentional.
But then he was also at the ER to get pills. So he's also having some drug issues.
But he ended up stealing, in the second episode, he ended up stealing a few from one of the other patients. They left, which that was unrealistic too. Epiphany would never leave a prescription just sitting on the desk like that.
Epiphany wouldn't. No.
Never. If they would have had one of the younger training nurses.
Right.
Not saying that they weren't professional, but sure, that's a slip up that maybe would happen. But Epiphany would never leave that sitting there.
Right. And then Spinelli created a video game featuring Jason as Stone Cold, and he got him a website and everything. And so I started to think about it. And did you know that Steve Burton is the voice of a character on Final Fantasy?
No.
Yeah, he started, and so I was like, okay, when did he start voicing Cloud Strife? 2006. So if this started in 2007, that must have been like paying a little bit of a nod to something he was doing outside of.
Yeah.
So I like
cute.
that.
That's super cute. Yes. And Spinelli said it made a big splash because he wanted to go to the comic book convention or whatever it is.
Tech fair or whatever. Oh, and Spinelli was so cute trying to hit on
and she
the nurse,
only
Jolene.
wanted to hear about Jason.
Yep.
She was nice, but you could tell she had no desire to be with Spinelli. And then he made it worse by bringing Maxie in to be his girlfriend. Was that the next
Lulu?
episode? Lulu, sorry.
Yep.
Yes, we'll get to that one in the third.
Well, and then there was that old lady in the first episode, the older woman who was sitting there just needle pointing.
And they ignored her.
But they said that she comes in every now and again and she's lonely, so I get it. But at the same time, I want to know how she wasn't bleeding.
Right. She stabbed herself, she said, trying to cut her broccoli, but how was she not bleeding enough that it was noticeable?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe she had put like gauze on it so you couldn't see under her shirt. Yeah. I don't know if her name was Stewarts or Stewards. Because whenever they'd say it, like,
it's either a TS or DS.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. But that was the old woman. And I feel like she's been on GH before.
She's in a lot of things. She's one of those character actors that you see a lot of.
Anyway, yeah, she is. She's one of those. I felt like I had seen her on GH, but I could totally be wrong.
Right.
It's probably Grace. They probably took her from Grace.
She's probably, but she is. She's one of those characters that's been there. And she had a really nice conversation with Jason.
She did.
And she's needle pointing all these things for kids in the homes.
And I liked that she asked him if he had any kids, and he said, not living with me.
Yep.
But apparently the whole world did not know yet that Jake was his. I couldn't remember what timeline that came out because Robin later on says, well, neither of us are parents, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So the fact that he told her, wowie, zowie.
Well, and then so Robin's response to Patrick taking care of the woman with the boobs, checking her breasts. Robin's response to Patrick being forced to check out this woman's breasts. She's like, a guy came in to overdose with Viagra and I helped him out. I'm like, good one.
That was funny.
But then who was she talking to that she said, he's going to ask me where I want to go to breakfast. Then he's going to suggest Kelly's, which I'll know that he'll have said.
And that's when she was talking to pregnant girl Stacy.
Oh, pregnant girl. Okay, I thought it was when she was talking to Jason.
Because Stacy being there was obviously causing her to start thinking about, did she want to have a child? She kind of not thought about that because of being positive. And so she had a bunch of questions. And that woman was super nice about answering the questions being very open and whatever. Yeah. So she was kind of pushing Patrick on the case. And Patrick said, I'm not OB. I'm not anything that she's experiencing. Why are you pushing me into this? And she called Robin out on it and was like, yeah, you're not being very subtle. So what are you doing? And then she said that he's kind of predictable because she had spent time with Jason.
Right. And
so they were talking about the difference between Jason and Patrick somewhat. Yeah. Not that she was trying to get with Jason, just that friendship.
Well, and someone overheard them talking because then Patrick heard in the locker room that she and Jason had been talking.
Oh, okay.
But then he also stood outside this room and overheard Robin talking with Stacy. What bothered me is he heard her say, he's going to ask where I want to go to breakfast. Then he's going to suggest Kelly's.
Because that's where he wants to go.
And he was obviously hurt, or he obviously took in what she was saying.
Yes.
Sure enough, at the very end of the episode, they're sitting on the roof. By the way, lots more doctors up on the roof.
Yes.
During night shift.
Yes.
Or nurses or medical staff.
There you go.
So he asks her, and it bothers me he didn't pause and let her respond.
Yes. Or at least offer up somewhere else. I don't know where else there's to go get breakfast other than Kelly's. Yeah, he should have paused for her or given her a different option first. Like, I'm sure he knows whatever her favorite place is to eat. So that's what he should have mentioned.
Yep.
I'm with you. Oh, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly had a lot of friends in all of these. Did we ever address...
Not yet. I have a feeling it's coming.
Did we address that in GH Land?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So I don't know what episode it was because I didn't make a note of it, but Robin said something to her about it.
I think it's the fourth one.
Okay, so I got ahead of myself again.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, eventually Robin sees a condom wrapper on the bottom of her shoe and says, hey, you left this here. And she gets very defensive, like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then makes some nasty comment about how gross it is that Robin, which it was, but how gross it is for Robin to be carrying around empty condom wrapper. And that's a different side.
If it's empty, right. It's not like it, unless the used one was in it.
No, it was not.
If it's just a wrapper.
I mean, I personally wouldn't handle it, but no, you have to pick it up off the floor. You can't leave it in the patient's room. So
exactly.
There you go. But yeah, so that was a different side of her than what I thought we had seen because I don't remember.
So maybe we do have to go back and watch some of these episodes around this time to see what was going on then.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to do a little bit more research on this.
Lucky for us, we have 2 more discs to get through, so I'll bring it all together. All right, so then the third one you said was called something paternity
ward.
There you go.
Jason babysits while Elizabeth is needed for emergency surgeries. Weird situation we'll get into in a second. Because seriously?
Yeah, you don't bring your kid to the ER and then them call you into work.
Patrick treats a rebellious teen. Stan develops a respect for Toussaint, and Cody resorts to desperate measures. So.
Oh, maybe that. No, I thought he had already stolen them. I thought he stole them in the second.
This is when he held a knife to her throat.
Okay, that helps. Thanks.
So Cody held a knife to Dr. Winter's throat because, and she, I felt like really was doing a good job. She kept referring him to the VA hospital. Mm-hmm. And then she did give him a script for 6 days of pills. And he was like, what's this about? And she said, that's how I know that you'll be back to go to this meeting or whatever. I guess he came back later.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, where were you going to score? And he did ask her out.
Which was weird. And he brought her coffee a couple times.
I actually thought that was sweet until he held the knife to her throat. I thought it was like, okay, you know what? Maybe he's trying to come around. And then he went and held a knife to her throat to get more pills.
Yeah.
I guess that's that about. But so then Elizabeth comes in because Jake has an ear infection.
Baby Jake. He was so cute.
And Epiphany says, we need you in the OR.
Right.
And she's like, I have Jake. And she's like, you need to find something.
No. I mean, again, I'm not a nurse, so I don't know how it works. But I assume that you call the 8 people that aren't working right now and say, can you please come in and take whoever
don't
says
they have
yes.
on call also? So, like, if Elizabeth wasn't on call...
I meant if they had, like, extra, if they needed extra. So there's the nurses there, then there's on call that you just kind of know you're going to have to go in. But if they had a crazy emergency, you know, that they need more staff than that, I figure it's like any other job. We're going to call you in and ask you to come in. If you can't come in because you have children that you can't leave home alone...
in the middle of the night.
Literally in the ER with one of them, you don't get called into it.
Right. Or, I mean, so where's Cam?
Right.
So let me run Jake to my Grams and I'll be right back.
Exactly. Not, and I know it's Jason and obviously that's his dad and blah, blah, blah. But again, that hasn't come out anywhere. And even then, Jason was working.
Right.
You can't just hand the kid off to somebody else.
Although I did think it was funny so the reason they were getting so busy is because there was a shooting victim and Epiphany goes, at least we know who wasn't involved tonight. Because Jason was working. But he was so cute with Jake.
He was so cute with
And
Jake.
then Toussaint called him out on spending time with your son.
He did. And he took him to see the old woman. What I say her name was? Mrs. Stewart?
Yeah.
Whatever. And that was sweet. She seemed like a very nice old lady.
Yeah.
This was the episode that Spinelli had Lulu as his girlfriend.
Yes.
And so Jolene was like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere with you because you have a girlfriend. And then he tried to backtrack.
No, I meant girlfriend.
But he didn't.
No.
He's doing it to be jealous, make her jealous. So you can't backtrack on that, Spinelli. Lesson learned.
Yep. And then Patrick treated a rebellious teen, and it was just a kid wrecked his Porsche, and his parents' dad was mad at him. Mom was concerned.
Yes. And Robin was trying to kind of play the in-between because Patrick was getting all angry because he was having issues with his own dad.
Yep.
That this dad wasn't behaving the way he thought that he should. And Robin was like, yeah, I've seen this before with Alan and Jason. You kind of need to let it play out. You can't tell people what to feel.
Yep. At the end of this episode, they played Baby Mine from Dumbo. It was somebody else singing it, but I always cry watching Dumbo. That's when he goes to visit his mom in jail. I can't. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're really going to have Jason give Jake back to Elizabeth while baby mine is playing.
It's okay, Shannon.
It's not.
I think I've only seen Dumbo like 3 times in my entire life. So.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, it's just the worst.
I'm sorry they traumatized you with their music. Let's move on to the last episode then.
Keep the change.
Keep the change. Yeah, it has to, there's no other way to take that reference with this episode.
A patient's death is suspect. A strike threatens the stability of the hospital. Robin and Patrick confront relationship issues. Toussaint's past unravels. And Epiphany cannot keep her composure. So the patient's death...
Right, that was poor Mrs. Stewart's, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And they injected her IV. I don't even understand. Like, they're trying to call it a compassion killing or however they
Mercy
say
killing.
that. There you go.
Angel of mercy. Angel of death.
But she wasn't that bad. She had pneumonia that she hadn't treated properly because she only had enough money for pain meds or for the antibiotic.
Right.
She spent her money on the pain meds. The doctor yelled at her, air quote, and then compassionately gave her the free meds that they had and said, make sure you take all of these because you're going to continue being in pain. If you
I don't think he yelled at her. I think he was just like, okay, so when you have to make that decision,
well, that's
choose the antibiotics.
It's an air quote yelled at because it wasn't, he was saying it with authority. He's the doctor, listen to me, but not without compassion for the fact that sometimes you only have so much
to
money.
Make that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but Layla was the one who went into her room.
Layla was the one, but why?
I don't know, because I also think, was that this episode or the last one that someone was supposed to be doing
the food trays?
We didn't even talk about all this.
Okay, yes. Okay. Well, that's why they think it's haunted. That's why Dr. Ford was saying it was haunted.
But it's cursed.
Sorry.
But it's because, some of the charts are getting all messed up. Someone's food got delivered to the wrong person, like that has allergies to the food that was delivered to them. Dr. Julian almost operated and almost did an open heart surgery on someone with a perfectly healthy heart. And one of the doctors... The anesthesiologist uses his own supply to knock himself out for a short period of time to get a quick rest.
Right.
Offered it to another doctor, and the other doctor was, quote, under, and someone walked in and bumped up the juice, and the guy never came out of the anesthesia until the anesthesiologist came in and was like, you weren't supposed to put it up to this, and he...
Right.
And that's... I think that was episode 4, because I don't think anything happened after that yet. He went and got another doctor to come do the procedure. That was the end of
episode 3.
Okay.
As far as my notes go. Yes. So you don't know who upped the meds because it wasn't Dr. Boyd. Dr. Boyd is who was doing it to sleep. Dr. Archer is who was like, hey, you'll be fine. Just use this little bit. So we don't know who upped it because it wasn't Dr. Boyd because he was asleep already. And then someone mixed up the trays. Someone almost performed heart surgery instead of an appendix surgery. Oh, and that guy, I can't remember his name, Ford. I know him. Like, I feel like I know him. Dr. Ford yelled at Regina and said how she was incompetent and that she should just do them all a favor and quit nursing right now because she had to have been the one that messed up the codes.
No. First of all, he yelled at her because he's black and she's letting them down.
Yes.
And he laid into her about that. About how
disappointing, yes,
which just blew my mind.
So inappropriate on so many levels
because he used her race against her.
Yes,
that was the launching pad. Because if it was anyone else,
exactly,
I don't think he would have been like, because you're white, because whatever your ethnicity is.
No, right, and that's the thing is he had 3 different choices there,
right,
and he went after her. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. I felt bad for her, and that's how she ended up sitting on the gurney, and the janitor came out to eat his lunch and had a snack.
Yep.
While he was talking to her also. Yep. So some more.
But he gave her a nice little pep talk.
He did.
Listen to Lando.
He did. He's awesome.
Oh, and then Robin and Patrick confront relationship issues. That's just talking more about the baby stuff.
I still feel like that was weird too. I mean, I'm glad they're having conversations because you shouldn't waste your time in a relationship and then find out that you're on totally different pages. Like, you watch The Bold Type. Have you been watching it?
I didn't watch the last 2, but yeah, I know.
Okay. So in that show, the 2 characters are married. They've been married for a couple months now, and now they're on the topic of babies, and she's like, oh yeah, I don't want any. Well, that's a conversation you should have had before you got married. That's a pretty big life decision for both of you.
Right.
So sure, Robin and Patrick should talk about that, but I don't feel like it was time in their relationship yet. They weren't even talking about being engaged yet.
And if you're in agreement and then one of you changes your mind, you cannot expect the other one to.
True.
Because that's not fair.
Right. We had the conversation. You're allowed to change your mind, but then you have to understand that there may be follow-up to that you're not going to like because you changed your mind. The other person doesn't have to. But anyway, yeah, it's a big conversation. Definitely needs to take place. I feel like it's something that you just kind of talk about in general whenever you're dating.
Well, and it sounds like
and
he's
then
being
you have
supportive.
A real conversation.
I feel like he's trying to answer her in a way that's great that Stacy's having this baby. You know, like he's supportive of the idea.
Exactly, but we're not there yet because they're not there yet.
Right.
They're not there yet.
But at the same time, so we talked about we don't know how this really crossovered with regular GH.
Right.
We wouldn't have Emma without this show.
True.
Because I don't remember them talking about it as in depth. I know that they did, but Stacy is the whole reason why we have Emma.
Yeah.
And Jason got to spend some good quality time with Jake.
Yes.
And Stanford came over to GH for a little bit from night shift. So.
I love him. And I love that Epiphany is such a good mom that she can say to him, we're totally disagreeing, but I love you.
Right. Yep.
I love Epiphany. That's not anything new. So, and Lainey's dad was there because they were hitting on Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Again, that made me mad that Dr. What's his name?
Ford.
I don't know why I can't remember that. Dr. Ford was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. What kind of car do you have? No, it's a Hyundai.
Okay. I was just gonna ask.
That would be really funny, but no. He said, no, we're not doing the surgery because the insurance won't cover it because your dad already has Alzheimer's. She's a doctor and she's offering to pay for it, and she has Patrick offering up his services for free. You really can't let it happen. Give me a break.
It's very interesting, and I understand that we've been talking about healthcare and what a mess it is and everything for a long time, but it feels like, at least in my mind, 2007 was not that long ago.
Right. And they were already hitting on it.
But we were really hitting on it at that time. So we've really been dealing with this issue for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's still not figured out.
No.
Okay.
That's a happy note to end on.
So on that note, so it mirrors real life, which goes into our
reality check.
So what's yours?
Okay, so again, mine is nothing about me because I do nothing and my life is not exciting. But I'm super proud of my son this week because he went out and bought a car, paid cash for it because he is so much better with his money than
awesome.
I am. Yes, it's a 2013 Volkswagen something with letters that mean something. I don't know. He loves it. It's a hatchback. It goes super fast and he is in love. But he bought it with all his own money that he saved and he worked hard for. And again, it's something I could never do because I'm awful with money. And just to see that smile on his face of accomplishment that he did it without any help from anyone else, and like he found it.
That's
and
awesome.
All of that. So super proud mom moment. And besides that, it's really nothing. I'm still stuck in that I don't know what to do about going back to school because our district came down with their decisions and I don't like any of them. So I don't know what I'm doing yet. And the girls have different opinions and I want to listen to them, but I don't want to listen to them because they're not on the same page as I am. And so, yeah, I'm struggling with it as I'm sure most parents are right now.
Like I'm more confident about my daughter's school, but just because it is a smaller school, class size is already under 10.
Yes.
And because the school is already equipped to handle extra needs of the kids.
Right.
So
and I'm sure not that any school is laxing on sanitation and keeping things clean and good, but I'm sure at her school, because there are other kids with other medical issues, that they're even more on top of that already.
Right.
So to say we're going to increase a little bit is not going to be that much of a hardship for them, and you can have faith that they're going to do it right because as far as less of a risk,
they're fine. I hate saying risk too, but there's less transitioning between classrooms and things like that. Like it's not going to be that big of an issue, so I'm more comfortable about that. I'm with you on. I don't know what to do.
I don't either.
And same thing, we're having the conversation, we're reading through everything, we're weighing all the pros and cons.
It disappoints me, and I know that everyone likes to have their own choices, and I'm not saying that everyone else should have to do whatever, but for me personally, I do trust the higher-ups in most cases, so I wish that they had a concrete plan. This is what we're doing, and that's kind of the end of it. The extra choices have me thrown.
We've been given 3 choices. We've been given 100% back to school as normal.
Wearing masks all day.
going one way down the hall. They are going to be limiting transitions somehow or something.
Right.
And hand sanitizer. And as long as they can social distance in class, they can take their masks off, but in the hallways. But for the younger kids, it's this. But for the high schoolers, it's this. Or they can stream through a webcam live all day, because every classroom is going to have a webcam, or they can do a 100% through the district cyber school.
Right.
And
I don't like any of those choices. And again, not saying that we shouldn't have choices, because I get that, but I don't like that even between districts, it's so much different. I don't understand why, at least in the state of Pennsylvania,
every district has different resources, though. And that's the problem.
I guess I understand it. It's ignorant to say, but I still expect. But in my mind, that would be my perfect place, because I know a neighboring district, they've already said they're not going back for at least a month, no matter what.
Right.
You have no other option but to do the online learning for the next month and then see where we are. Because now that stuff's been opening up, stuff's been shutting back down because there has been an increase in cases, and that scares me.
I am surprised that we did not start with hybrid.
See?
That I am 100% surprised that we did not.
Yeah, it's not even a real option. And I know they're trying to do better than what we did at the end of last school year, because that did feel like not enough instruction and education and all that. But all day, I don't know. I can't picture my second grader sitting in front of a computer all day long and seeing her friends there and not being sad that she's not there too.
Right.
And not being able to understand why we made that decision. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm ready to put her back in school full time.
Right.
With just a mask. That's scary. So
I know.
anyway, not a reality different than everyone else's, I'm sure, but that's where I'm at.
Right.
So how about you?
We finally used our inflatable kayaks.
Yay. I've loved all your pictures and all your adventures.
It was fun. It was nice. So we got inflatable kayaks, and I'm still married. I asked for them for Christmas. My husband said no, so I did not get them. And then COVID hit, and I went, and bought them. And they just showed up one day. They arrived on a day where he was in a really good mood, though.
Oh,
that worked
was
out
handy.
very well. I don't think he really would have complained, but he even said to me, like, Wednesday night, when did we go? Wednesday night, he's like, I know I was giving you a hard time about the kayaks. He's like, but I'm really looking forward to going.
Aw,
and we all had a really good.
You look like you were having fun in all the pictures, and that your kids were and everything. So.
Yeah. Oh, it was a rough morning beforehand, though. We had a behavior issue that we were able to work through. So
good. That's good.
And I almost posted that on the pictures because, I really do like to give a clear picture. I'm not like, hey, here's my filtered life.
Yes.
But we did wind up having a really good day. So she recovered from it pretty well, and we went on. But
that's awesome.
And same boat as you. Just don't know what the heck to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time I talk to someone and they have a good point about either side, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a really good point. And then I hear someone else and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a really good point. And I don't know what to do.
At the end of the day, we just all have to do what we think is best for our own families.
Absolutely.
And not judge each other, because everyone's situations are different.
Yes.
And
right. It's a hard choice no matter what you're deciding.
Right.
So, and just have respect for everyone else, because they're not in the same situation that you are financially and availability wise, and kids' needs are all different. And that's what everybody has to remember, is we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah. And none of us know what we're doing.
Right.
But we're all doing the best at it. So join us on Thursday as we talk with our July fan of the month.
That was
Sarah.
Such a fun conversation.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Seriously, and I think we say this every time because other fans are just so much fun, but we could have done 3 podcasts with her.
Absolutely.
Talking.
And so if you want to be featured as our fan of the month, please go to our website, pier54podcast.com, and fill out the fan of the month submission. We'd love to talk to you.
So have a good week.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.